Good morning. Today we are going to discuss about Swagger UI from Spring Boot. What is Swagger? Swagger is a tool to test REST-based API calls from browser. It's the implementation of OpenAPI Specification. So if you add the dependency, Swagger dependency to the Maven project, Spring Boot project, basically you can test REST calls. Why to use? So basically we use to test REST API documentations. So from the browser we access those calls and check the calls. Is it working fine? Any errors? Basically you can check all the APIs through browser. Basically we use this for the unit testing level. Developers, testers can use this Swagger UI. I mean, if you use this, you don't need of using Postman. So Swagger UI is free. To get the Swagger UI into Spring Boot application, what we can do, we need to add main dependency, which is Open API Starter Web MVC UI. You need to add this dependency. And apart from that, I'm using Web Starter, JPA, MySQL, and Lombok additional dependencies to explain you this example project. This web for Spring Web component, JPA to deal with the database. So I will be using MySQL to pull the data from the database, Lombok for the annotations. So in the Maven, if you add Swagger dependency, when the project is done, built, you can access the Swagger UI by using Swagger UI index.html. So I will be running application localhost 88080 port. Benefits of Swagger. So basically you can access the APIs from the web browser level, command line also you can test it. But in the browser you have the rich UI to test it. And if you add modify any APIs, it will dynamically reload. If you look at this is the Swagger UI look and feel from the browser localhost 8080 Swagger UI index.html. Index.html is the base page. So if you look at my server is local host server port number, and these are all the calls, rest calls are available to test. This is the one of the example screenshot I took it. I'm using only get by ID. So schemas means user is entity, is a table from the database. So from the database, I'm trying to pull a user by ID. So it's like a select star from users where user ID equal to. If I send the user ID, if the user ID is available from this database, it's going to pull here, display here. Otherwise, it will throw error. If I add more REST calls, this page will be updated with few more, rest of the REST calls. So to achieve that, so what we do, I will create a Maven project, basic Maven quick start project, which will have pom.xml, readme file, and Java as well as resources folders. In that, I'm going to create a package, and in the application.properties, I'm going to add database related details like a URL, username, password, and dial it, other details. In controller, I will create a user controller. This will be the REST controller. Entity is like a user.java, so it's like a model. This will represent the table in the database. So user repository, it will deal with the JPA repository to pull the data from the table, user table. So through services, I'm going to invoke, connect with the repository and pull the data. This is like a UML level, class level UML diagram. User control will have a service and get long ID. Means If I pass the user ID, I'm going to get the results. So user controller will have the user service. Service will have this repository annotation. I mean reference to the repository annotation, which will pull the customer details through GPA repository. So if you look at the entity, so this is the table name by default. I'm using at the rate data for the Lombok from the Lombok to avoid getter setters. I'm having constructor, I mean all params constructor, no params constructor for the entity. This will represent the class from the database. And this is like a repository which will extend JPA repository, and this is the entity. And services will use user repository reference variable, and it's going to connect to the database. And by using find by ID, I'm going to pull the row based on the ID from the database. If you look at this is the REST controller. So through Swagger UI, I'm going to call this API users ID, that URL. I'm going to pull the row if it is exist. So these are the database details from the application properties file. So these are all needed to project for the project to code. Let's start writing the code. Let's create a sample project. File, new project. Swagger test Java Maven. I go with 21. Wire file 21. So I use dev tools as dependency, web, okay, Lombok, okay, can I, okay. So Spring Boot version, create this window, add Swagger dependency, okay. So update the database details here, add database details, URL, username, password, and class, driver class, and delete. And these are optional. Okay, create some packages, entity for the class, services, and repository. So entity, what I will do, I will create a user class. Before that, go to database. So database has a user table having these columns, but in this example I will just go with only ID. I don't deal with these attributes. So user, say data, I long ID. Perfect. Let's create a repository, user repository, extend, yes, import GPA repository. Perfect. This will be the repository. Next, create a service. To the service class. These functions as well as user repository, user repository, and import this class, and this is the service. import this class. Perfect. We have the user, repository, service. Okay, let's do all arguments constructor, no arg constructor, entity. Yeah, let's mark it as entity. Run the application. Now look at in the database, we have two rows. So go here and say tryout 1, execute. So we got response code as 200, response body 1. So try this URL. Yes, we got 1. So I have ID 2 also. If I say 2, I got 2. And if I try the same thing with a different value, true means I got 2. But if you look at, we have all other attributes. Let me pull other attributes. So I go here. So what we have, age is a number, integer age, email ID, string email, name, string name. Perfect. Since we have this data annotation, we know to create getter setters. So let's restart the project. Okay, it's starting. So go here, started. So go here, remove this. So we got this request. Okay, say okay, try out 1, execute. Yeah, we got all the details. ID equal to 1, age 34, email and name. Status code is 200. This is the response header. If you look at, this is the query actually. It's getting used. Equal to 1 means it's getting this row. If I say 2 means it's going to get mask. Let's try 2. 2. Yeah, we got mask. Same thing we try here. Okay, here we try. See, we got the complete object. If we say 1, but rather accessing here, this is much more better. So this is the use of Swagger. Let's do one thing, that just to fetch all, get all. So what I will do, so for that I will do like a public list of users, find all. We no need to pass anything, find all. Perfect. So find all. Okay, I should say return. Okay, this is what find all. So we don't need to do anything at the repository level, user level, nothing. Here we should say something. So in the user controller, we say get all. I don't pass anything because we are trying to pull everything. Find all. Remove everything. Perfect. Okay, it should be list. So when we access this URL, we should get all the users. Basically, we should get two rows like this, like a select star from user. You should get two rows. Just refresh. See, we got get all. So API users get all. API users get all. So go here. So we are not passing anything here because we are not passing anything here in the get. So click on that, you should put everything. Execute. See, it's displaying first ID, second ID with all the details. So this is the URL, request URL. See, basically we are doing this call, REST call from Swagger UI. So HTTP response 200 and this is the body. So if you look at it from the command line, this is the query is getting called. Or select all the attributes from user table. Perfect. Now create an object. So what I will do, I will use as post mapping save. So I'm going to save single user. So what I will do, user save save. So go to the service. So what we will do, public user save user repository dot save. So you will be getting user save the user, and here you get request body user. So pass the user here. So basically in the to the post we are getting the user object, giving to the service, and you're saving here return. So let's rerun this application. So post is here, you look at different color. So here no parameters actually. So you have the request body here. What I will do, 441 to @gmail.com. Sure. So basically I'm sending this request body as a JSON. So ID 4, age, email, name, everything as a JSON body we are sending. So that will be captured here as a request body, giving to the user, and this particular thing will be saved. Okay, let's run the application. Yeah, so what we're doing, curl post this particular URL, header and ID and all the details. You got response body as 200, which means data saved. So run the application. 4. Let's run one more. 5. 51. 3. 3. Execute. 200. 200. So go back here, reload, say get all. Here, get all. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or say try to get the fifth one. Right? Cool. So we did the post also. Let's do the update. So what I will do for update, I use put. I have to pass ID. Update. Save. Restart. So I'm going to get the user. Thing is loaded. So okay, put layout. Say 5, 55, 5. Okay, 5 at gmail.com. 5 to 200. Yes, because this not having a parameter. Path variable doesn't have. That's the reason it was throwing an error. See here, update set user, set age, email, name. So this is the query being called. So here, this will change. Yeah, 55 and everything. So now remove a record. So what I will do, remove. This is straight away simple. Go with the get mapping ID, delete path variable. Which one? Path variable we use. Path variable along ID, delete this one. So let me create a function here. Yes, perfect. Return user dot delete. Let's do delete by ID. Perfect. Okay, go here. Delete user. This one should be in colon. Let's reload. So okay, I added prefix here, delete. So it will capture ID and delete. Go here. So we have, how many we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Say 5. Yes. So delete 5. Response code is 200. See, if 5 is gone. say for 200. 4 is gone. Just try 4 again. It's not throwing any error. It's not throwing an error because row is not there, it's not deleting. That's okay. Say 3. 3 is done. See, 200. This is how we can use Swagger API to test the REST calls. Just go here and see this particular user is updated because we added other attributes. So this is how we can explore Swagger UI. Thank you.